The Silicon Valley mindset is useless in Venezuela. Today we discuss.
California, here we come, right back where we started from.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
Today we are going to talk about why the Silicon Valley mindset is pretty much useless in Venezuela. And first, let's explain a little bit what I'm referring regarding Silicon Valley mindset. Of course, we know Silicon Valley in Northern California is this particular place where one of the wealthiest places in the United States that by itself is a wealthy place overall, but California, one of the wealthiest states in the United States, and actually within one of the wealthiest states within the United States, actually Silicon Valley is one of the wealthiest places, not only in the United States, in the whole world. And the reason why Silicon Valley is wealthy is because the scenery that you have on very particular projects, usually associated with tech companies, like, of course, Apple and Google, and also the social media ones, Facebook, Meta, and Tesla, and that kind of thing. So you have a bunch of very successful tech companies doing synergy together, and of course, besides the economics and the bottom line and the cash flow and dollars and cents, also you have a particular mindset that you create here, and also there is a bunch of series and TV shows and movies and documentaries regarding Silicon Valley, and of course, a bunch of books and publications as well. So everybody over there are very, overachievers that you have in Silicon Valley. You have people, very young people that want to be the next Elon Musk, the next Steve Jobs, the next Bill Gates, the next Mark Zuckerberg, and so on and so on. I mean, I'm very cool for that. And also, in order to achieve it, you have to do something spectacular, something very revolutionary. You have to do something disruptive in order to achieve, because that's the main point about Silicon Valley, is using technology in order to disrupt entire industries. And of course, that disrupts the economics, the consumer behavior, and that kind of thing. And most of these people that I mentioned, for instance, Zuckerberg revolutionized the social media. I mean, basically, he created social media, of course. Well, you can argue that. Steve Jobs revolutionized and disrupt the industry of electronic gadgets and consumer gadgets and that kind of thing. Bill Gates with the software, and Elon Musk right now with the electric cars and vehicles and that kind of thing. I mean, so you get the point. So these people want to create something spectacular, and of course requires a lot of talent, a lot of creativity. Of course, you need also the skills regarding programming and developing and computers and that kind of thing. Also combined with analytics, statistics, economics, financials, and a lot of things that have to work together in synergy in order to create this spectacular thing, the next Facebook, the next Tesla, the next Microsoft, and, So the way that these people act, I'm talking the people from Silicon Valley, is that, of course, they have a very particular mindset regarding not only the hard skills that they have, developers and coders and programmers, and also people in finance, people in technology and computers and that kind of thing, but also they have like a particular way in order to interact with each other and the rest of the world, and also the mindset on how they are going to do it. And also you have to add the unsuccessful people that, of course, by definition, they are a lot. They are the failure stories are like 1,000 times more than the success stories. And also we have stories like luster stories, like the one on Elizabeth Holmes, I believe is her name, that the one on Terranos, that was basically a fraud that she was committing, and she get a lot of investors and that kind of thing, and she went to jail. And I mean, I don't know specifically the story. I know it's a fraud, so please leave it on the comments if you know the complete stories. Anyways, so you also are going to have this bad news, these bad outcomes that are not discussed as frequently. And also, something that is recently happening in Silicon Valley, in this particular Silicon Valley mindset, is the way that they get funding. Usually, and actually, this particular gentleman has become famous or infamous for that kind of thing. I forget his name yet again. Indian guy, Klamit Papatilla. I'm sorry, I butchered his name. But okay, but if you know anything about finance, you know the guy I'm referring. He's the one here on the screen. Well, anyways, this particular procedure that they have, that in Silicon Valley, usually they have an idea that is a promising idea regarding disrupting an entire industry. And the first thing that they get is trying to get money, get funding that is known as, this particular process is known as venture capital, that they try to get billions and billions of dollars in order to start developing a particular idea, a particular business idea, a disruptive idea using tech. And in most cases, these companies take, the successful ones, I'm talking the successful ones, take many years and in some cases a decade in order to start seeing profit. And the way that some of these companies make money is not because their business model is successful. These particular companies get these estimations of how much they are worth, regardless if the particular business model works or it doesn't work. And how they make money is not about, of course, the fundamentals of the business. It's actually just the valuations of these companies could be several $100 billion. In some cases, could be $1 trillion, something like that. And anyways, but you have nothing. You have just the idea and the promise and that kind of thing. Many people are investing on that kind of thing. After, of course, seeing the success in companies and like Facebook and Tesla and things like that. So you get the point. And now I'm going to explain why that particular mindset doesn't work in Venezuela. The first thing is that, well, the thing that is going to work with that mindset in Venezuela is that the Silicon Valley people have a very disruptive mindset that is way outside of the box, outside of the social norm. They see beyond a very narrow point of view. And if you're from the West and you have any interest in Venezuela, it's very good that you have that particular mindset. But afterwards, it's not going to help you a lot. You see, of course, most of the Silicon Valley people are very outliers compared to the US society, the California society, whatever they think. But finding that people, the average people in Venezuela, are way far from that particular mindset. You're going to look like an alien if you start talking about, the Silicon Valley, how Silicon Valley works in the first place. I'm talking just on the social things. And also, of course, we have a couple of very disruptive entrepreneurs here in Venezuela, but they are, I can mention them with just this hand. And actually, we have a couple of unicorns and startups ideas that are working recently in Venezuela, actually, and doing fine. Some of them actually are copies of the already successful companies abroad in the US and Europe, that kind of thing. But actually, we do have such a couple, just have a couple of cases doing very well in Venezuela, and actually we have a couple of unicorns. However, that particular mindset is not going to help you develop those projects in Venezuela, because actually the reason why this handful of unicorns and startups are actually working in Venezuela is because they were able to adapt the business model that was disrupted back on the day in the US and Western Europe and the rest of the world, combined with the Venezuelan nuances, and that's why they became successful. Because what happens is, on this, I have in mind a particular business model that is very popular in all over the world and was developed in Silicon Valley, I believe, is that particular business model already proven successfully in every place in the world, most places in the world. It was first developed in Venezuela using the Silicon Valley mindset, that kind of thing, but not adapted to the Venezuelan nuances, and they failed. And it was tried a lot. Meanwhile, also, this is a funny thing, that the same project was actually in mind of the developer. They applied it with the Venezuelan nuances, so they were very well adapted to the Venezuelan nuances, but not with the business model that made that particular model successful in the first place. And actually still mildly successful, but recently, since 2021, that particular project Actually, there are a couple of cases on that regard that they took both the successful business model from abroad using tech, that kind of thing, combined with the Venezuelan nuances in a great scenery, and hence that's when they became successful. So now, if you have the Silicon Valley mindset and you want to apply it in Venezuela, I'm talking disruptive technology, the good thing is that in Venezuela, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just being effective in order to apply that particular mindset and that particular, of course, business model already proven abroad, apply it in Venezuela, but with the Venezuelan nuances. And that's the thing that will make you fail if you don't take care of the Venezuelan nuances combined with the successful business model. And the second thing that you have to be very aware is regarding actually this venture capital thing, the SPACs, the raising capital, and that kind of thing. Because if you come with that mindset that you only have the business model, the idea, and maybe the skills in order to pull that off, very good for you. But if you think that you're going to get venture capital here in Venezuela, you are completely mistaken. That is not going to happen. One of the things that I tell all the time the Venezuelan investors or potential investors or wannabe investors is that if you think that you may have great skills and a great business model, regardless if it's a Silicon Valley business model or not, but if you think that the capital or the financing, you are going to get it here, you got another thing coming. That is not going to happen. So if you have your idea, you have to put your money where your mouth is. So if you come here with great ideas and great business models, but you don't have the capital, it's useless. Your particular endeavor is not going to gain into fruition. And the last thing, for the Silicon Valley mindset, if you come with that particular mindset, I mean, you don't have to come especially from Silicon Valley. You can come from Arizona, a place like that, and you have that similar mindset. Very good for you. By the way, actually, I met a couple of Silicon Valley people, very cool people, but, a little bit far-fetched. So that's why they need a little bit of coaching. And, well, anyways, the issue is that if you come here and you're looking for peers on your particular endeavor, the issue is that here's what is going to happen regarding this is just about people. You're going to have basically two kinds of peers. You have the first one that is actually very skillful, knows about tech, knows about development, knows about crypto and Bitcoin, that kind of thing. So, a very smart guy that knows his thing about a thing, but he's not financially successful. Or he's financially successful for Venezuelan standards, not for worldwide standards. So his financial contribution is going to be lackluster. And he's not going to be able to fund his ideas and that kind of thing. Most of his labor, most of his capital is actually his own human capital. But the real capital in order to get things done, most likely he won't have it. Or in most cases, actually, he won't be either successful. He is skillful, but remember, Venezuela is a place where you are not rewarded by your skills. You are rewarded by your result, regardless on the outcome, how you got it. For instance, if Venezuela doesn't reward what you are, rewards what you have. That is a completely different thing. And the second kind of peer that you want to find here is the old school, white, old businessmen that, of course, we have the picture on their minds, a white, old boomer or something like that, that they make money when most likely their parents make the money when making money in Venezuela was actually very, very easy during the 80s. And they inherit the assets and the business and that kind of thing, but they are at best good administrators of wealth. They are not wealth creators. They are old school guys. They think on buying and selling and that kind of thing. And if you had an issue with their U.S. counterparts, the old business boomer that you have in the United States, well, in Venezuela, it's going to be way, way worse on that regard.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.
California.